Hello everyone. So welcome back, and here we are taxiing in Mosquito toward the runway. This is on the Growling Sidewinder World War II server on the channel map. So it's been probably a good couple of months since I've been up in the Mosquito, and I was looking for an opportunity when there aren't that many players because uh, sometimes it gets really congested, lots of dogfights going on. So I just wanted to have a quiet flight, not very eventful thing. Just get to the target area, do some strafing, and come back. I wasn't really looking for any air-to-air engagements this time. So here we are taking off, and again, it's been quite a while, so I don't even remember how to raise the landing gear. Pushed it down instead of up. But it took a few seconds. Once she's airborne, she's lovely to fly. It's a super airplane. It's just very enjoyable. And here we are, leaving the relative safety of the British homeland and going feet wet over the channel. And normally I tend to fly toward the Dunkirk area or Cape Grenade, where most of the action is taking place. That's usually if I'm looking for a dogfight, but this time, even though there aren't, I think there was only one other player, and I think he was flying a Mosquito too. So this time, I was looking for a different target and frankly a different change of scenery. So I flew further south the French coast toward Boulogne-sur-Mer, and I remembered from last time that there was some kind of a submarine that was kind of going up and down the coast. So I figured, let me see if I can find it. So, well, guess what? As soon as I got there, I saw that submarine, but somebody had lit it on fire. I don't know if it was my buddy there in the other Mosquito, but it was already damaged. So I took a few rounds, I took a few shots, landed a few rounds, and then I made a second pass. And so, it was interesting. I haven't done too many ship attacks before. I'm mostly an air-to-air kind of guy. But this was interesting. And what was more interesting is that they weren't shooting back at me, probably because the submarine was already damaged. I wonder if the crew had already left. So yeah, a few more shots landed, and that submarine is out of commission now. But it wasn't really shooting back at me, so that was kind of strange. So, having sunk that sub, I decided to fly towards Boulogne-sur-Mer and see if I can find any ground targets there. There's smoke over the city, so I know there's something going on there. It's probably being attacked by Allied forces earlier. So I know they're hiding, but it's challenging to pick up targets in a cluttered ground environment like this. Lots of houses and little cars and trucks hiding in between the houses. So pretty much what I want is for someone to start shooting at me. I can mark their position, and then, assuming they don't shoot me down, I can come back around and take them out. So here we are, just flying over the city, presenting a juicy target. It's a railway yard. So far nobody's shooting at us, so looks pretty quiet. I expected a lot more flight to be in the area. So, I made one pass, and as you just saw, somebody started shooting at me, but it came from behind, so I didn't really see where it was coming from. So I turned myself around and figured by the time I turn around, they're gonna fire a few more rounds, and I'll know where they are. But I came back around and no one's shooting at me. I guess they were smart. They didn't want to give away their position. So I thought it came from around this cathedral area, but I didn't see anybody there. So I flew past the cathedral, looked around, I didn't see anything. So I went back to the port area. I figured that's probably the most heavily defended area, but once again, I see cars and I see boats, but nobody's firing at me, so I assume they're friendlies, or at least they're neutrals. I decided to do one more pass over the city and see if I can get them to fire again, so they can give away their position. And then, as I came around, I took another look at the railway yard, and I saw that train. I was like, let me do some train strafing. As I'm coming down, somebody opened up on me from the railway yard, and now I'm in battle. So I took out one of them, probably a couple, and then as I flew by, I noticed another bunch that were shooting. So I took some evasive action. I flew low to the ground, and I figured what I'll do is I'll just make one more pass, take out whoever I can, and then I'll head home, because I wasn't really sure how much ammo I had, but I figured I had enough for one more pass. Well, unfortunately, they were ready for me on that second pass, so as you can see, there's tracers coming right at me and hitting me, so I figured I'm dead anyway, and we just start shooting. So I took out a bunch of them, but obviously I got hit, so my elevator is damaged. I'm bouncing up and down. It's controllable, but you can't keep a steady altitude. It's either wanting to go up or wanting to go down. So fortunately the engines are okay. So for the most part, we're okay. Nothing's leaking. I think the engines are running. It's just that the elevator control is somehow banged up. I don't think a control cable is severed, because otherwise I would be headed into the sea or into one of these buildings, but something got damaged because she doesn't want to fly straight. But either way, my original plan was one more pass and then I'm headed home, so that's what I'm doing right now. So here we are. We made it over the channel. Fortunately, there were no fighters. I kept looking over my shoulder. There were no enemy fighters that came to engage me. So we made it back to the British coast, and I decided to put her in at the closest Allied airfield, which happened to be Hawkinge. So here we are. I had a little trouble. First of all, I forgot how to bring the gear down. The gear, normally you press the lever and the gear comes down automatically. Not this time. And I looked around. I had to make a second pass until I realized that if you keep that lever pressed down, eventually the landing gear comes down in an emergency. So it took me a couple of passes before I brought the gear down. So now we're on final, lining up on the grass runway, and I'm keeping the airspeed a little bit higher than I really like in the Mosquito, but again, she's dancing up and down. I don't want to take a chance of stalling right over the threshold. So I'm coming real low, aiming for that threshold, and just hoping she doesn't nose down as I'm coming. So it wasn't a perfect landing. I bounced a little, but she's going more or less straight, and the airspeed starts to decay. So all in all, this was the experience that I was looking for. Go out there, engage the enemy, and come back.